My name is TaKaiya. I'm 15 years old. I'm from the Sliman Nation. I work with the Native Children's Survival Organization and the Sailor Sea Marine Sanctuary, and both of them, in essence, are working to protect Mother Earth and her children, and also making sure that solutions for frontline and minority communities are implemented and constructed in a way that is empowering, and that is not only involving but actually offering a platform to these communities to go forward in whatever direction that they choose. So how I got into this activism, I think that as a child, it's really hard to explain concepts like the generational repercussions of colonial infrastructures and various different mechanisms of how your people have been targeted over time. It's hard to describe how things like residential schools or boarding schools, which forcibly removed Indian children from their homes and killed the Indian and the child, which was the objective, how that continues to surface as cycles of substance abuse and suicide. But as a child, it is easy to see dysfunction within the community, and also growing up with a strong sense of how integral my culture is to me, and hearing about the rivers that are our lifeblood and the importance of the ancestors' stories that are stacked inside the mountains, and how we would tie our identity to our forests. And at the same time, hearing about all of this beauty and going to these same places and only experiencing the destruction of the land and of these sacred sites. And so witnessing that, and also seeing how Native youth were beginning to get more and more disconnected from the community, and seeing how this all has to do with the environment, and seeing how it all has to do with that absence of culture, seeing how the substance abuse and gangs and suicide, how that all boiled down to the fact that we, as Indigenous people, when our territory and sense of identity, that visible sense of our ancestors, when we go out into our forests and when we gather from our traditional places, when that is removed, we become non-native minds, non-native people trapped in these very damaging situations, without a sense of our roots to hold us down during this storm. So seeing how important the environment is to Native youth, and seeing the very rapid decline in our community, that was literally one generation existed living in this way, and then the next exists living in a completely different way, and it just keeps getting worse. And you see that the circumstances make us want different things, but we all need different things. And children, regardless of whether or not they're native or non-native, we all need nature. So that's something that I've been sharing, is trying to revitalize and reawaken this cultural education within our community to instill this sense of identity and strength, and this sense of sacred connectedness that Indigenous people hold very closely when it comes to the environment. And then also trying to share that sense with non-native communities, and how we can integrate these different principles of respect for our environment, and what makes different communities thrive, and learning about each other in that way. So I talked a bit about how when we're approaching, because I've been over this week talking about diversity and inclusion, and I've also touched a little bit on how traveling to different conferences where you have organizations that offer all of these proposals and solutions for communities that are experiencing problems, how it's not sustaining, it's not empowering, because there is no choice or freedom for the community itself to try and construct and implement their own solutions, especially in Indigenous communities where you see different conservation organizations that come in and try and teach Indigenous people about how to take care of our land. So this is the type of thing that I'm talking about, because there is local knowledge and wisdom, and there's always something that's survived throughout the chaos of problems and dysfunction a community is experiencing that is just so powerful to involve, to reawaken, and to offer the resources for communities to start that up on their own. And so, as you see with my music video, I'm a musician, and how I actually started to get into activism was through music. And it was more of this kind of way of expressing what I felt about the state of my community, and what I felt about the future, and all of my different ideas, and putting that into a form that made sense to me, which was music. And I carry that with me, not just the music, but when we go forward, when we try and ignite this momentum of revolution, and trying to get all of these new ideas to take root, and all of these uncomfortable situations, and confronting truths, and moving together as a people. All throughout that process, we need to go forward. When we protect what we love, we have to do so with what we love. We have to bring our music. We have to bring our truth. We have to bring our communities. We have to bring what makes us feel whole and human and passionate about life, and we have to bring that to the table when we try and change things, because that's how we make sure that when we change things, we do so with love. and we do so with all of ourselves. And that's something that I also do with my culture. You see me standing up here and I'm wearing my cedar hat. Because if you see movements like Idle No More, for example, which I don't know how many of you heard about, but it was a social justice movement for asserting Indigenous rights to their jurisdiction to exercise their culture and their territory and to defend their territory from corporations and government. And when you see pictures from that movement and when you see the videos, we're doing this round dance of reclamation in public areas. We go forward and we stand on the front door of the parliament with our megaphone in one hand and our eagle feathers in the other. It's about bringing that identity. It's about bringing that sense of, no, we are still here. As Indigenous people, we are still here. As for example, musicians from a community that's been our water's absolutely been poisoned and we've been walked all over by corporations, we still stand here with our music. We still stand here with our sense of justice. So that's what I try and that's what I try and do. That's not necessarily how I keep things positive, but that's how I make sure that I ground myself and that it is me when I'm speaking. It is TaKaiya, Chegajimuch, Slam in person, Chegajimuch being the name passed down to me by my kukpa. My grandfather, Chegajimuch, was a speaker, revolutionary, defender for his people. And I come forward as Chegajimuch, I come forward as a musician. And all of us in this room, we have so many things to offer. I was always told that if you have a voice, then it's your responsibility to use that voice for those who cannot speak and those whose voice goes unheard. And I was taught that as a part of how my nation, as Indigenous people, we feel responsible. We feel like caretakers for our land. So if you have that voice, use it. And if you have a gift, if you have a passion, it's your responsibility to yourself and it's your responsibility to your community to nurture that and to share it. And I think that if you look throughout history you look at the revolutionaries, you look at the successful positive changes in our society, and they were started by small groups of people who felt like they didn't just have a problem, but they had a dream. And growing up, I never, as a Native person, I never saw myself and my history reflected through the pages of the history books. I never got to experience that knowing of standing on the shoulders of visible giants of positive change who made all of these interferences with injustice and stood up to conflict and existed throughout history. I didn't get to see that. That's why what we do as people at this conference that are working to get children more connected to nature, that are working to preserve nature, it's teaching the history books of the future a lesson in doing what is fundamentally right. A lesson in passing down that connection to nature, a lesson in standing up as a person of whatever background, and standing for your people, and more importantly, standing for your future. So I would just like to say again, if you have a voice, be heard. If you have a gift, share it. And when we work together, let's make sure that we're not just inclusive, but we're encouraging change in other communities. We're not imposing our structures, but we are holding hands and looking at each other as important allies on the front lines. So you have a voice, be heard. You have a gift, share it. And let's work together to change the world. Thank you.